Hey everyone, I'm Mike Del Preti, and you were listening to Context, the podcast where I'm talking to industry leaders about what's changing. My guest today is Tamir Poleg, CEO of The Real Brokerage. Hey Tamir.
Hi, Mike.
So Tamir, you're here all the way from Israel. Thanks for popping in.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's awesome. I'm very excited to have the chat because there's things I know about you and Real, and there's things I don't know. So I'm interested to unpack that. And I am super excited to have you into class to talk to our students as well.
Excited to talk to the students.
So we'll start with an easy one. How do you typically start your workday?
I have a somewhat of an unusual setup because I live in Israel, but I run a company that's based in North America. So when I wake up in the morning at 6:30 in Israel, it's 11:30 p.m. in the US Eastern Time. So I typically pick up my phone, look at all of the Slack messages, emails, all of that. I have 5 kids, so I have to get them ready for school. I take them to school. I come back at around 8, go ride my bicycle, probably 5 times a week, and then spend some time with my wife. And then my working day starts at around 3 p.m. and goes through until midnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
That works out all right for you?
I mean, that's my reality. I've been doing that for more than 10 years. But yeah, there's a little bit of sacrifice, but I work from home.
Yeah,
So I'm there.
that sounds good. Typically, people kind of start their day with coffee, but if you're starting your day at 3 p.m., is that with a glass of wine or port, or you?
I actually don't drink coffee. I only drink water.
Okay.
So when I wake up in the morning, I drink a large cup of cold water with a banana that I eat
Mm,
every day. And then I don't have coffee throughout the day.
okay. Wow, amazing. Biking, road bike, mountain bike, gravel?
Gravel.
Okay. I'm a road biker. We should have did some
Yeah.
biking next
Next
time.
time. Yeah.
All right, next time.
It's a little bit too cold here for me, but we
Yeah.
can try.
It's Boulder. There's people out in all sorts of
Right.
weather. Where do you kind of in that whole mix when you're not working outside of work, how do you find inspiration?
It's a good question. I actually think that the reason why I'm riding my bike every day is because those are the only moments where I can truly clear my head and think. I think that some of the best ideas that I had in business at Rio came from bike sessions. So that's how I clear my head. I'm a sea person as well. We live on the Mediterranean
Mm,
in Israel. So whenever I have time, I go and just sit by the sea, or we have a small fishing boat, so I go fishing. I think that this is where I'm able to truly kind of disconnect from the daily tasks and think about big picture.
yeah, I like to say that. I've said that before for myself. I do my best work on my bike.
Yeah. Yeah. And people ask you, like, how many hours do you work a day? But
Yeah.
when you're an entrepreneur or a CEO of a company, you probably work all the time. Like
Mm,
it's in the back of your mind. Even when you're doing things with your family, you always think about something. So I think that it's important to disconnect and to understand what are those activities that allow you to think, even though it doesn't look like work for others. This is where the true work happens.
yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah,
It's hard to schedule creativity
exactly.
and inspiration.
Exactly.
8:30 a.m. Let me just put that on my calendar. Come up with a great idea. Okay, great. So speaking of, starting things and good ideas, let's talk about Real. Where were you and what were you doing when you decided to start this business?
I co-founded Real back in 2014.
Ooh.
And before that, I owned a company that was focused on multifamily investments in Texas. And prior to that, I worked for a couple of tech companies for a few years. So I had a combination of technology background and real estate experience as well. And I knew that I wanted to stay in real estate. I'm passionate about this industry. I love it. But I also understand the impact that technology can make on traditional businesses. So when I sold my previous company in 2013, I was looking for ways to stay in real estate and do something meaningful with technology. And I think that I always understood the benefit and the immense value that agents bring to a transaction. And I think that as I thought more and more about agents and how they live and how they operate, I just realized that they're underserved. And I wanted to create a brokerage that just creates better futures for real estate agents. That's how it started.
In what areas were they underserved?
I asked myself, if I'm an agent and I'm looking at the landscape and I have to choose a brokerage because agents have to work for a brokerage, what are my options? Like if I go to option A or B or C, and for me, all of them look the same. So you're getting very little value, you're paying a lot of money, nobody's really creating a better future for you because agents are almost like a commodity for a lot of brokerage. Like, okay, if it doesn't work, we
Hmm.
can replace you with a different agent. And I thought that there's just an opportunity to create a different kind of brokerage, one that delivers more value at a lower cost.
What do agents tell you that they want, and what do agents actually want?
That's a billion dollar question, actually, because at the beginning we did ask agents, what do you need?
Yeah.
And you'd find out that the things that they tell you are not necessarily the things that they are going to use later on or the things that they truly need. And I think that this is because they are confined to the boundaries of what they know is possible and they're not thinking about what's not possible or what has not been introduced so far. So at the beginning, it was all about we need leads, we need marketing, all sorts of things that when we actually came up with them, they
Mm.
didn't use them. At the
Hmm.
beginning, we built an amazing system that knew how to buy leads from Zillow directly and send that lead to the most relevant agent for that specific customer. And we spent a lot of money on building the system and buying leads from Zillow. We delivered them free of charge to our agents. And then we saw that they just didn't do anything with those leads.
Mm.
So why are you telling us that you want leads? And I think that at that point in time, we realized that, okay, we should be doing the job of figuring out what they actually need for our agents. Obviously, there needs to be a lot of conversations with them back and forth, and we need to filter out all of those things that they're telling us. But at the end of the day, it's on us to decide.
Hmm. And what have you decided? What's actually moving the needle?
Many things. But I think that we started at the beginning with efficiency. How can we save agents time? And how can we streamline processes that they're doing? And how can we make sure that they're getting paid fast?
Hmm.
At the end of the day, this is what most agents care about. Because you're living closing to closing, and sometimes you have 5 transactions a year, and transactions may get delayed. So you're desperate for that paycheck. So paying on time is crucial. So for many years, we were building the efficiency side of the business.
Mm.
And then now we're starting to do some additional things on top of the foundations that we built. But one of the most difficult things in our business is the understanding that there's no one feature that if you deliver it, you'll be winning. It has to be a set. And that set has to create sufficient value for the agents for them to actually be attracted to what you're building.
It's kind of what I'm hearing is an attraction equation. A plus B plus C equals value.
Plus D, E, F,
So
and yeah,
it keeps going all the
yeah,
way to Z.
yeah.
And it's probably a different equation for
Correct,
every agent, but the
correct.
difficulty you have is you can't build. How many agents do you have now?
Over 22,000.
Right. You can't build 22,000 different equations.
Correct.
You can build one.
That's correct. And again, there are the solo agents, there are teams, there are small teams, large teams, there are the agents that are part-timers, there are those agents that close 50 or 70 transactions a year. You have to find the denominator that speaks to everybody.
So one of them is getting paid on time, which I think
Yes.
is interesting. I don't know that I've ever read an article in the industry or went to a presentation where somebody's talking about getting paid on time.
Oh, that's a big one.
It's a big one. It's also super boring and agents care, but you're not going to raise $50 million in venture capital by promising to pay people on time.
That's true. By the way, it's super boring theoretically. I think that if you think about the tech part of it, it's actually super exciting.
Mm,
How can you create technology that can help them get paid instantaneously at closing?
yeah.
And I'll just mention something. About 2 years ago, we launched a feature that allows agents to actually take a picture of the check at closing from our app, and we deposit the money directly into their bank accounts.
Huh.
So there's an exciting technology story behind that boring thing.
Yeah, no, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're thinking A plus B plus C plus D, et cetera, and getting paid on time is one of those, can you share another one?
Sure. There's education, there's culture, there's some degree of marketing, there's speed of communication, both with their clients or accessibility towards their clients, and the speed of getting responses from us. For example, you're an agent, you're sitting at a closing, you have a commission disbursement authorization form from us that allows you to actually get paid at closing, and then there's a change. There's a $20 difference. So instead of you now reaching out to your brokerage, waiting for that CDA to arrive, it may take an hour or 2 hours or maybe next day, we were able to come up with the ability for the agents to actually change the CDA on the closing table.
Mm.
So all of those small nuances that actually make their lives easier.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the growth of the business. So, Real is, one of the fastest growing brokerages that I've ever seen. And like a lot of companies that have this hockey stick type curve, you kind of need a microscope to see it on the graph, way back, but then it just skyrockets. Was there an interesting turning point or pivot point where that growth really started accelerating?
Yes. When people look at companies, sometimes things look better from the outside. And people look at our growth today and they're saying, okay, this is an amazing growth story and this is an outlier. And we're growing revenue by, I don't know, 80, 90% year over year when the industry is down. But it wasn't always like that. We started in 2014 until 2020. The growth at the beginning, the growth was okay-ish. And then probably between 2016, 17 to 2020, we kind of plateaued.
Mm,
And I think that the moment in which things started working in our favor is the moment that we had nothing to lose. I was left with less than $50,000 in the bank. We were losing money back then. I had to raise money. We raised about, I think, $16 million to date. And I came back to the investors and said, hey, we need money. And they said, we're not really willing to put in any money. And I told them, I think that we should take the company public.
hmm,
And we were tiny back
hmm.
then. And they said, what's the idea behind it? And I said, I believe that if we offer agents equity in the company they help build, this will help me attract more agents. And they said, okay, if you can pull it off, go ahead and do it. They gave me an additional $300,000 at a $2 million valuation.
Wow.
So this was a steep down round. And then in the beginning of 2020, we were supposed to go public, to merge with a public shell. And then COVID happened.
Hmm.
And all of the investors that were supposed to invest in the public shell told me, we're pulling our investment because the world is ending. So I had to go back and try to raise money. And in the summer of 2020, we actually went public. At the same time, we also changed something in our marketing strategy. Before that, we were spending a lot of money on serving ads on Google and Facebook to agents who would be interested in hearing more about us. And at that point in time, we had about 800 agents. And I said, okay, what if we could turn those 800 agents into our affiliates, into our salespeople that not only sell real estate, but also pitch real to their friends? So those two things, going public and changing our marketing strategy, happened in summer of 2020. At the same time, we also attracted a few people, a few agents that bought into the idea of building a different brokerage. And since then, we've been growing like crazy. In 2021, I think we grew by 635%. 2022, also something around 200, 300%.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you said 800 agents in 2020
Yeah,
to 22,000 4 years later.
2024. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
I imagine. And you're all virtual, right? No offices?
No brick and mortar. We don't have offices for the agents to use. And as a company, we have close to 250 employees in North America.
Mm,
No offices either.
okay. Wow.
This is why I'm able to run a company from Israel.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were chatting about this a little bit before I hit record. If you look at the brokerage space, do you think there's going to be winners and losers?
Of course, and that applies to every industry. Like every few years, you have a cycle of innovation or change. And I think that when we started back in 2014, we looked at the landscape and we saw that the industry is dominated by traditional players, by incumbents, folks that have been around for 50 years, 60 years, 40 years. And we thought that they do not operate efficiently enough. And let's face it, we are in a low margin business. And as long as you're paying a lot of money on office space, overhead, manual labor, over time, when consumers continue to pressure commissions, you're probably going to lose. So that was one of the bets that we placed 10 years ago. So yes, I'm a big believer in the non-brick and mortar model. I think that at the same time, this is a huge industry and there's enough room for different models and different players. But I think that this traditional model that has been dominating the industry for more than 50 years will probably be eliminated. It's happening slower than I thought, by the way,
Mm,
but it's happening. If you track the stock prices of some of those traditional players versus some of the newer players, you can actually see a story developing.
oh, yeah. It's night and day.
Yeah,
If you were the CEO of a big traditional incumbent, what would you be doing right now?
I would resign. uh, I'm just kidding. Um, I think that it's too late,
Hmm.
to be honest. But there's still hope if they're smart enough to potentially maybe partner with a company that can deliver the technology that their agents need and that the incumbent needs in order to be able to process transactions efficiently, I think that could be a smart move for them.
Is it just technology, though? I mean, the thing that I keep seeing and hearing over and over again, and in some of my research, when I'm looking at agent migration, agents just like new. They like going to the new brokerages.
That's a maybe a different conversation. At the end of the day, I think that we all failed at creating this technology that will attract agents to a brokerage
Mm.
just based on the technology.
Hmm.
But I think that this is about to change, by the way. And yes, agents like shiny objects and they like to be affiliated with the new kids on the block. But I think that technology, especially if you're a CEO of a brokerage, you must be concerned about margins. You must be concerned about agent migration. And you have to find ways to process a large volume of transactions with minimal overhead. So at the end of the day, we have a ratio of one employee for every 140 agents. And I know that you had Compass here. We close half the number of transactions compared to Compass. They have more than 400 people on their transaction processing team, and we have 9.
Wow.
So that's a testament to the technology that I think could deliver a lot of value to the incumbents who still own
Hmm.
a major market share and they have a lot of transactions. They're just not processing them efficiently.
9 people on your transaction management team. How many did you have on that team last year
9,
and the year before?
9.
And how many transactions were you doing 2 years ago compared to today? I mean,
Well,
exponential growth.
yeah, we're probably doing 4 times more transactions today.
Wow. So you kind of not so subtly threw that comment in your last answer about how you think it's about to change in terms of brokerages deploying technology that actually attracts agents.
I hope to be in that place. I hope that agents at some point will say, okay, we're going to go with Real because Real provides us access to technology that gives us a huge competitive advantage over any other agent.
What's the technology?
Here's the problem: this industry has been agent centric or agent focused for such a long time because at the end of the day, brokerages win when agents choose them. So you have to have a focus on what is it that you're delivering to agents. But at the end of the day, if you truly care about agents, you have to care about their clients. And we ask ourselves, what is this thing? What is this technology that we can put in the hands of our agents that can make them look better in front of their clients? How
Mm.
can we deliver technology that will help their clients transact in an easier, more transparent way? And I think that we are very close to building that piece of the technology, and it has to do with combining title and mortgage with brokerage services. It has to do with putting an AI layer on top of everything. It has to do with shortening the timeframes within the real estate processes, shortening the time to actually get a loan and get a clear to close. All of those things that eventually will help the folks that are now in their teens or early 20s buy and sell homes the way they're used to maybe interacting with other companies.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ancillaries. You mentioned mortgage and title.
Yeah.
What's the plan there? What gives you the right, and I don't mean that to be an aggressive statement, but from a corporate strategy, like what gives you the right to play in those spaces and win?
We own a title company and a mortgage company. And the reason why we bought both of them is not because we thought, hey, there's another way of making money. Obviously, there is. And we were interested in that. But because we have this grand vision of combining the 3 main elements of a real estate transaction: brokerage service is everything that you do with an agent, mortgage, which is what enables the transaction, and then title, which combines everything and helps closing. If you ask a home buyer what they're interested in, you wouldn't hear, I'm interested in an agent that will talk to the seller's agent and will be able to schedule a tour for me. I'm not interested in a 1003. I'm not interested in a mortgage application. I'm interested in a home. And I
Hmm.
think that what our industry now delivers is a set of processes and tasks for home buyers instead of understanding that what we need to deliver is a home.
Hmm.
And the only way to deliver a home seamlessly, effortlessly, in a way that will not induce anxiety the way it does today, is by combining those different building blocks of a transaction without demonstrating the complication to that consumer, to that home buyer. And this is why we decided that we want to play in the ancillary services space.
I get that. There's kind of this one stop shop graveyard that's littered with venture funded companies And then any traditional company is kind of this 25% speed of light constant. Like, yeah, we have this vision, but we just can't get higher attach rates. How are
And,
you going
and,
to
and and
avoid?
that's the challenge. And we need to understand why the attach rates are, there's a glass ceiling to attach rates.
Yeah.
And the reason is because there is a strong personal human connection between agents and their title person or their lender. But I think that we managed to find a way to actually align the interest of the agent, their client, and us as a brokerage or the provider of the ancillary services in a way that we are going to demonstrate actually next week, that will actually help our agents give up those personal relationships that they currently have. But I'll also say that I think that agents first need to be convinced that this technology, this process that you're offering their clients will result in them benefiting, which means that if they introduce that piece of technology to their clients, the clients will say, okay, this has been amazing. I'm going to use this person again. I'm going to recommend this agent to my friends because this is a game changer and this does not exist at any other brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and we're still not there.
Okay. Awesome. Well, by the time this is published, it will have been next week. So,
Yeah, at least the first signs of what we're doing. But,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean,
So,
next week is going to be big for us.
okay, cool. So, message from the past to our future listeners, go check out whatever the heck Real announces.
Exactly.
Back to the kind of winners and losers in that brokerage space. Are you worried at all about a race to the bottom here?
Not really. I think that others should be concerned about that. I mean, we operate on very thin margins. We have a gross margin of 9% at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So we demonstrated that we can be adjusted EBITDA positive with 9% gross margins, and while paying almost 60% of our gross profit back to the agents in revenue share. So we know how to operate on extremely lean margins. I think that the bigger question is how well are agents or brokerages able to articulate the value that they bring to buyers and sellers? Because if you're able to articulate and people understand the value that you bring, people will be willing to pay for it.
Mm.
And that applies to brokerages. So if we're able to articulate the benefit that we're providing or the value that we're building for agents, agents will be willing to pay us for it. So this wouldn't be a race to the bottom. And that applies to consumers as well. So I'm not concerned about race to the bottom. I think that obviously you're tracking brokerages margins and they have been declining. And I think that the only way to survive is by heavily relying on technology.
Mm. What's the most important metric you look at for your business every day?
I look at a set of things. Obviously, I look at agent count. Even though we're not a company that's driven by agent count, I think that agent count is the reflection of are you doing the right things or not? I'm looking at revenue. Obviously, I'm looking at different kind of usage metrics around things that we're offering our agents and new products. I can tell you about something that I looked at today. We were launching a new product called the Real Wallet, which is a digital wallet for agents to use. And within the wallet, they will have a debit card, they will have a line of credit from us. And we started experimenting with that. It's been a project that we worked on for about 1.5 years. And we started testing it at the beginning of this week. So
Mm.
I'm checking the usage on
Yeah.
an hourly basis because I'm interested in understanding, okay, is it working? Is it not working? What's working well? What's not working well? But I think that the beauty of our business is that we have so many data points on our agents' businesses and performance. And I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine, an agent, who reached out 2 days ago and said, hey, I've been looking at the app on my revenue share stream, and I've seen that this past week has been very slow.
Mm.
Is this random? Is something happening? So I asked one of our data scientists to look at it. And what we've seen is that typically it takes a transaction 31 days on our platform from signing to closing. And if you go back, the slowdown this week has to do with, I think it was Labor Day weekend or something like that.
Oh,
So you
31
can
days
actually
ago.
correlate
Yeah.
data that's happening today to past occurrences. So we have so many data points, which, by the way, allow us to also predict the business in an amazing way.
If I gave you a check for 50 million bucks to invest in your business, what would you spend it on?
Um, I wouldn't spend 50 million bucks just like that. We're investing a lot in technology. One of the big things that we're working on right now is AI, and I know that this is kind of a buzzword, but I would say a combination of AI and fintech
Hmm.
offerings within our platform. This is where we're putting 70% of next year's budget.
What kind of AI applications, doesn't have to be specific to real, but just in general, are you seeing out there that you're kind of interested and excited about?
I have a vision in my head that we would be able to automate slash replace 80 to 90% of the tasks that agents perform for their clients with AI.
Hmm.
And now, if you can add to that the ability of AI to imitate your voice and the way you're communicating, and maybe have a visual of you, for example, a video, I would be able to have a video call with an agent, but the agent wouldn't be that physical agent who might be sitting on a beach somewhere. It could be the AI engine that we
Yeah.
built for that agent, the AI assistant. So for me, this is what we're now envisioning.
Sounds pretty scary. All these AI
It's
powered avatars doing things.
it's scary if you believe that it can completely replace humans. I think that the way we think about it is how can we help agents close 5 times or 10 times more transactions by instilling efficiency in their business using AI.
Right.
Yeah,
It's the efficiency narrative.
yeah. But I'd also say that at the end of the day, we're humans. And when consumers buy or sell homes, there's an emotional aspect to it. And I think
Mm.
that this will never be replaced by AI. And this is why I think that if you combine agents with powerful AI capabilities and the understanding of the human emotional journeys, that could be a huge win.
Okay. As the CEO of this business, what's the most important thing you do every week?
Think.
On your bike?
Yeah, obviously, we're all busy and we have an amazing team. And I'm super fortunate to work with some of the most talented people in the world. And I'm talking about both agents and our
Hmm.
corporate team. And my job is to make sure that people are free to create what they can with the talent that they have. But again, I think that one thing that I think is super important for me, because I can be replaced in so many ways, I think that me thinking is probably one thing that I put a lot of emphasis on and probably brings a lot of value.
Yeah. All right. So as we kind of wrap up, actually, that reminds me of another thing we were talking about before we started here, this idea. So somebody, one of my former podcast guests and guests in my class said, hey, you should have some sort of, retreat. Get all the alumni from class together and have been on your podcast, 30, 40, 50 people, get them together for a couple days. And that's an interesting idea. And I'm kind of toying around with that. But would you be interested in that? And if so,
Of course,
why?
of course. Because I think that at the end of the day, this industry is in place in order to serve consumers. And if we cooperate, if we brainstorm, if we think about ideas to build things together, if we share experiences, if we make each other better,
Hmm.
that works better for consumers. So we shouldn't forget why we're here. We're here
Right.
to serve, obviously, agents, but agents' clients as well. And I think that if we can find more ways to become better as an
Yeah.
industry, I'm in.
Okay, awesome. All right, stay tuned. Well, that's it today for time. Any closing thoughts you want to share?
Just thank you for the opportunity, and I admire your work, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Um,
it.
and excited for class.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to it. Cool. So you've been listening to Contact. If you want to check out more of my work, you can go to my website at mikedp.com. All right, thanks.